I'll be honest, thinking about my future in the middle of a pandemic is kind of hard. The mind goes to dark places sometimes like this. And I know it doesn't only affect me. I know everyone needs to readjust and find their way in this new situation where their life is turned upside down. I kind of wonder how other artists are dealing with this because, they may have to adjust to a completely new workspace, and could that make changes in their art, or are they even productive at all at times like this? I know I'm struggling with it, or, I had to find a new rhythm. Um, I would like to work in a collective myself in the future. So, through all of this and with the practices, I realized the importance of collaboration and human connection. And I really miss it. And I know others do too. I was mostly interested in the social practice so far. The theme of vulnerability and being courageous really resonated with me, because I think that a big part of my practice in the future will be revolved around it, since I use art to express myself in ways that I normally cannot. And I like to put myself out there and talk about things that are usually kind of difficult to talk about. So, through my practice or through my art, I would want to make sense of big things that I don't understand, or big things that I want others to understand, and create, a better understanding through it and more conversations around certain topics. And I think the social practice could give me the tools to do that. I can only imagine what other artists are thinking about right now, since we are experiencing a social distancing. So it will be a nightmare for anyone who is a social designer or whose design is based on people and community. But, perhaps something very interesting could happen as well, because we limit physical contact, and through that we have to explore different ways to communicate. So maybe some interesting connections could be found there. I'm also, exploring that, because I have to find different ways to communicate with school or with my friends or with my family. And I think my interest in this also shows how the social practice could be fitting to me. I would also like to mention the commercial practice. I think some of the ideas I learned there could be applied in my future. The world is kind of broken right now, and we're seeing all these social and political constructs that we have just made up for ourselves, just crumble before our very eyes. And I think in one way it makes place for an existential crisis, but I think it also makes us think about what kind of reality are we in. And I think it also makes us realize that we chose this reality for ourselves in some kind of way. And that you could also think about how you could change it a lot easier, because you realize that nothing is quite real. So I think you can get quite outrageous with it. And I think a lot of speculative designers, if they're having fun with it, I don't know, but I think a lot of speculative designers can really use this space or this time to think about, their big ideas, because sometimes it's easier to work from the ground up. And you can really challenge the ideas of society right now. So even though this was something that was introduced in the commercial practice, I think this is still a tool that I could use in social. I try to have a positive outlook in all of this. Distraction has helped a lot so far. So I've baked a lot of bread.